If you've been thinking about building a business that you're passionate about, but you're scared to start, chew on this for a second. The average health span, meaning years in good health, is between 63 and 66 years. 10 to 15 years of your life, you'll be dealing with health and physical limitations. Take 66 minus your age. That's how many good summers you have left. This video is to help those people who want their own business stop procrastinating and start today. I promise there is never a perfect time to start. In fact, we become better business owners when we build during imperfect times. When I first started my online business, it was back in 2020 during the heat of COVID. I remember in March 2020, I came home, I said I didn't feel good. I laid down on the couch and didn't get up for hours. Then I got up, turned on the TV, my family was gone, and I heard the news about COVID when I had COVID. There was so much fear rushing through my mind that I was going to die. My girlfriend and my 5-year-old daughter left to the in-laws while I took a nap. I had no idea that that was the last time I was gonna see them for months. It was like the literal apocalypse. I couldn't see anyone. The news told me I couldn't go outside. All I could do was look out the window and it would be sunny. 5 minutes later, it'd be snowing. 5 minutes later, it'd be hailing. I wasn't able to leave. I wasn't able to see anyone. The only one place I could go is where all of this disease was literally concentrated. My job at the hospital. I'll just flash a picture right here too. I had to go to work, wear a bunny suit, put on multiple masks, put on multiple gloves, and walk into these rooms knowing that this disease that we're all scared about right now is literally all concentrated here. It was at that point where I was like, I know I have to make some kind of career change. I had always been into music and wanted to make music my career somehow. I found different mediums, tried, failed for so many years, but I learned a lot of skills along the way. So then I decided to hire my first business coach as a final straw, last Hail Mary to really make this thing happen. But this was the crazy part. I did not have the means to hire this coach. He cost 10 times more than I had in my bank account. I remember on that call wanting to do nothing more than just hang up and pretend like I lost connection and something happened and disappear and never speak to them again. In my head though, I couldn't stop thinking, if I didn't make this investment and hire this coach, what does that cost? It meant I would have been risking my life working at this hospital, never being able to see my family because I didn't want to expose them to this disease. Do that until I'm 65, too old to live my life, finally retire and then live scarcely because I've been pinching pennies this entire time, and inflation would wreck me 40 years from now. So it was a tough decision. I either take out a loan and spend all this money that I don't have, or spend the rest of my life regretting it. I pulled the trigger, did it, spent the money. Not only did I make a very uncomfortable investment, he told me to do so many uncomfortable things that I never wanted to do, never would have done myself, but it's the uncomfortable things that we avoid that actually give us growth. I remember building out my program, figuring out who this was for, and I was creating this music production program showing producers how to make music. I built out all this email sequences, promotion, messaged everybody in my community. I was getting ready for this big webinar launch, my first launch. I had the date set, ready to go, all this anticipation built up. Couple days before the event, I got a call saying that my grandma had a major stroke in her retirement home and is now in the hospital. Mind you, my grandma was 90-something years old, doesn't speak English, didn't know where she was, but she was by herself. I dropped everything, drove for over 10 hours just to get turned around at the hospital because they couldn't let any visitors in because of COVID. So this 90-year-old lady who doesn't speak English, just had a major stroke, is stuck in the hospital by herself. I remember constantly being on an iPad with her on Zoom, and that was the only interaction we could have. So obviously I had to move the date of my event. I moved it a couple days later. I still, even though I was emotionally drained, knowing that my second mother was in the hospital fighting for her life right now, I still had to run this event. This was my first time doing it. I was so nervous, never done it before. The goal at the end of the event was to get a couple initial clients to spend very little money with me. I did the whole event. At the end, sold zero. I don't know if you've ever ran a live event like this, but it's the most discouraging feeling when you put all this work into it. You have all this emotional stuff going on and you sell nothing. It just flops. So I took about a week to just like be in the fetal position and just drown in my emotions for a while. And then I was like, I gotta get back up and I gotta do this again. So I planned a second launch, set the date, and guess what? The forest all around me, this whole state, was on fire. Literal wildfires. Like, we were about to have to evacuate, take whatever we needed and leave and have this childhood house of mine burn down. Mentally prepare for this. I remember telling my daughter, like, just bring the important things. And she packed her suitcase full of stuffed animals. I don't know how you tell a 5-year-old this, that we're about to lose everything. The sky was red. It literally looked like the end of the world. Luckily, the house did not burn down. And so I continued with the event. I did it again after being discouraged, knowing that I failed the first time. I did my second event and I sold 2 people. I was so excited because I put so much work into this, and it's such a glorious feeling making your first dollar off of this new product that you just built. And as great as it all was, life didn't stop. During the height of the pandemic, we just didn't know if we were going to keep our jobs. Everything was so unsteady, but I was trying to build this business at the same time. In fact, there was a point where we got packages and things stolen from us. Someone tried to break into our 2nd-story window. I literally had someone drill a hole in my gas tank, siphon all my gas, and I didn't know it until I ran out of gas on the side of the road trying to get to work. Like, things were falling apart. I just knew that I had to make this career change and I had to just taper off of this job. So we decided to sell our house and move back to our parents' house in our late 20s. I don't know if you know the feeling of moving backwards in your 20s when you finally bought a house, finally feel like an adult. Not an easy feeling. As many downsides as there was, this was literally the birth of this coaching business that has now made me millions of dollars. And it didn't come easy. I honestly didn't even have time to build this business because I worked full time. I remember having to be at my job at 6 a.m. I'd work 10-hour shifts. That would be enough of an excuse for most people to say, I can't build this business. I'm too busy with a full-time job. What I told myself was, I guess I'm getting up at 3 a.m. I got up at 3 a.m. every single day for months, built little by little, chipped away at my business. Same thing on my lunch breaks. I'd drive home, I'd film content, I'd go back to work. I used every waking moment, little opportunities that I could find to continue building this business so that eventually I could leave this job. I say all this because I want you to understand that if you're waiting for a perfect time, it just doesn't come. Plus, when you learn how to build when times are imperfect, you're gonna build so much resilience that you're going to need in the future of your business. I now know that I confidently can maneuver through any scenario or anything that gets thrown at me because I've proven it to myself. I've gone through the rough. And trust me, in business, you're gonna need such thick skin. There's gonna be so many times where you get rejected on sales calls, you get turned down, you get hate comments. There's gonna be constant fires that you don't even expect that you need to fix right now. And most people just don't have the tolerance for what's about to come in their business once they build it. But the great thing is, this just has to be practiced just like anything else. You need stressful situations to fall on your plate, learn how to manage, overcome them, so that when bigger stressors come on, you know how to maneuver without mentally falling apart. There's just so many unknowns that are gonna get thrown right in front of you and you're gonna have to learn how to fix. So you might as well build this callus now and build this business when times are not perfect. It's gonna teach you more lessons than anybody else could. The experience in itself is going to help you sharpen your mentality and emotional control. And that's the hardest part of business. It's all mental. The tactics, the things you do, they're easy. The mentality is the toughest part. And trust me, these aren't things that you can just learn overnight. So you want more and more of these stressful situations to happen to you. It sounds ridiculous, but that's the only way that you can build the callus. So again, there's never gonna be a perfect time as long as you're living life, because life will continue to life and throw life things at you. The longer it takes you to start, the more opportunities that you lose. Think about how short time actually is. You grow up going to school, 18, you're out on your own, you'd spend your 20s flopping around trying to figure out just what to do. It's not until about your late 20s or 30s where you're like, okay, I figured it out. Now you only have 30 to 50. That's 20 good years where you have to make the bulk of your money to set yourself up so that when you're physically limited after 50, you can sustain yourself. Life truly is not that long. The people who learn this sooner have such a massive leg up. Think about the 19-year-old millionaires right now. If they figured it out at 19, they have all of their 20s, all of their 30s, all of their 40s, all of their 50s to not make mistakes and just grow. The fact that I built my business and figured it out in my late 20s, 30s meant that I missed an entire decade of what they have on me. Look, if I would have hired a coach 10 years earlier, That would have been 10 years of opportunity that I could have spent already knowing what to do, just growing the business instead of constantly falling on my face and trying to figure out what to do. The first year I hired him, I immediately made 200 grand that year. So that's the minimum. Let's just take that, times it by 10. 200,000 times 10 is $2 million that I lost and missed out on just because I didn't know what to do. Plus that's 10 years I cannot get back, and I'm still paying for that today. So I know you're probably scared to take the leap, start that business, start that dream life of yours, but ask yourself, how much do you value comfort? Because when you're comfortable, growth doesn't happen. Things just stay the same. And if you're okay with that, ask yourself, like, is it really worth even considering starting a business? But if you hate that idea and the thought of just being the same just eats you inside, jump now, wherever you're at. Time is only one directional. It doesn't move back. Your kids only grow up once. They're only 3 years old once, only 4 years old once, only 5 years old once. So jump now. If you want to start that business, start now. Take the risk now. Because it takes time to build. It's not going to happen immediately. Do the hard parts now while life is already hard anyways, and while you still have the energy and the ability to learn and do these things. You want to set yourself up so that when you do have kids, when you do have a family, you can reap the benefits. And you can be confident in yourself that you can sustain this kind of lifestyle and build this kind of business. Do all the flopping and all the messing up right now. Because the longer you wait, the more opportunity you're gonna miss, the harder it's gonna get. It doesn't get easier. Life doesn't stop lifing and throwing things at you just because you feel like building a business. If I could speak to the 20-year-old version of myself today, this is what I would tell them. So I wanted to share it with you. Now, if you wanna see exactly what I did and how I turned content into millions of dollars through my own coaching business, check out this video right here.